All right, I'll start over. Good afternoon, everybody. I have a few memories to share about Ted. Going back to the 1950s. So I'm thinking of Memphis then, the Beale Street vibe, those incomparable high school bands, black high school bands. And the academics weren't bad either, right? Some of them, they had great teachers, right? And the Tri-State Fair, right? But the thing that pulled us together was family, okay? So there was your family, the McDaniel's. And then there was my Aunt Steen, Uncle Walter, that was the Guy family, and my cousins. And there was my grandparents, the Varnados, they lived not too far away. And then there was my family, the Watkins family. So we all knew each other, but the main connection was Dot and Steen. His mom, Dot, and my Aunt Steen, they were tight. And they were brilliant, beautiful women too. But anyway, their families, they were tight. Our families visited, or their families, the McDaniel and Guy families visited often. So their kids kind of grew up together, you and your sister Carol, and the Guy girls, and Beverly, Carmela, and Francine. So that was the main connection. But then there was also the connection that I had, because Ted's dad, Mr. McDaniel, was the band director at my high school, Booker T. He also had been the band director at Manassas, which is where my cousins went. But anyway, at Booker T, I remember just the amazing marching band performances, all the assemblies and the groups that he would bring on stage. That it was just a joy to watch. The annual music show. Now, the one thing about the annual music show, I only tried to get in at one time. Your dad was the gatekeeper. Now, I didn't make it, but he knew it would have been a disaster for me to be in the chorus line, okay? So I forgave him for that. But anyway, they were just amazing times. The other connection was to my siblings. Now, you see, we lived on a college campus that was across the street from where you attended church, right? It was St. John Baptist Church. But you would come over to take piano lessons, right? You took piano lessons from this lady, Dorothy T. Graham, okay? Now, when I graduated Booker T, I went to that college, and I was in her choir. She was director of the S.A. Owen Junior Choir. So we have this common connection. She had a powerful influence, I'm sure, on both of us. So, but while you were coming over for piano lessons, sometimes you stopped at our house. And so you would hang out with my younger siblings, my brothers, especially my late brother, Levi Jr., Dr. Levi Watkins Jr., and so we had that. So those are the main memories I have from Memphis and our families. But it didn't end there, because you came to Ohio State. And when you came to Ohio State, and by the way, I want to just mention Bernice, who was at Spelman when my cousin Beverly was there. And she was just so happy that you guys got together. But anyway, you eventually joined the faculty at Ohio State. So you became colleagues with my late husband, Michael, Dr. Michael Oliver Garraway, and my current husband, Dr. Ira Deep. So that was a new connection. And in those later years, my mom came up to Columbus to be with me. And some years later, you brought Dot up, your mom. So we reconnected to the extent that on that horrible day, September 11, 2001, Dot, my mom, and I had spent the whole day together. Ted brought Dot over to our house at 8:30 that morning. We were going to have a wonderful breakfast, shop in Worthington, just spend the whole day. Well, of course, by late morning, we realized some things that had gone terribly wrong. Still, we spent that day together, 9/11, 2001. The three of us were together. The last thing I want to say is that I went to the symphony last night, and I was so proud to look at the symphony program and to see that Dr. Ted McDaniel has joined the board of the Columbus Symphony. So thank you for these memories. Happy 80th birthday.
Thank you, Dr. Garraway. Well, the next person I'll introduce, a lot of you all know him, but if you know my dad, you know he is a Morehouse man. And his sons, myself and my brother are both Morehouse men as well. But we got some memories from Morehouse Negative Alpha from Dr. William J. Hicks.
Is this going to work? Thank you very much. I'm happy that everybody has come to celebrate the life of this wonderful person. Everybody knows Dr. McDaniel and what he has done at Ohio State. Emeritus professor, professor of African American music, and everything else that he's done over 35 years at Ohio State. But I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about 1966, when I met the not Dr. McDaniel at Morehouse College. He was my, what can I say, fourth floor dormitory counselor. Now, Graves Hall is a historic building on the campus of Morehouse College. And it has four floors that house students. We were on the fourth floor. And my room was directly across the hall from Ted McDaniel. Ted would come into our rooms and evaluate us. Is your room clean? Are the clothes put up? Are your beds made? You know, he would make sure that our music wasn't too loud, okay? But it was a wonderful time. There were about 45 of us on that fourth floor, and we had a great time, and many of us still communicate to this day. And we thank Dr. McDaniel for what he did for us at that time. Max Stewart and his wife Tina were also in Graves Hall for a time. They weren't students at that time, but they were there, so I knew them. We had wonderful, wonderful people at Morehouse at that time. I can remember, of course, the famous Dr. Elijah Mays. I'm sorry, Benjamin Elijah Mays, who was president of Morehouse for about 27 years. And it was an amazing thing for us to be able to encounter him. We all had to go to chapel. Chapel wasn't something that you could bypass. You had to go to chapel. But you wanted to go to chapel because of the people that we encountered there. I remember some folks in science that stimulated me to go on to medical school. So again, I just want to say that Ted did a great job as our counselor at that time. He went on to be a faculty member at Morehouse, one of the youngest members of the faculty at Morehouse, director of the marching band, director of the regular band, and director of the jazz orchestra at Morehouse. Went on to, of course, go to North Carolina A&T for a short time, and then subsequently went on to get his master's and doctorate from the University of Iowa. So again, I'm glad that everybody is here to celebrate the legacy of this wonderful man, Dr. Ted McDaniel. By the way, I was told that I would be sat in my seat if I took any longer.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hicks. All right, we're going to keep it moving here. And the next speaker will be a student of Dad's, who's quite a composer. And you're going to hear a little bit about the jazz and their lives together. Dr. Mark Lomax, closing the drum.
Yo, what it do, everybody? So I represent Dr. McDaniel's legacy for getting in trouble with white folk. You didn't think I was going to say that, but here's why. So I met you, your beautiful wife, when I was 2 years old, if you remember, at Bethany Presbyterian Church, where my father, Reverend Dr. Mark Lomax, was the associate pastor with Reverend Pogue. And little did I know that 16 years later, my dad would make a phone call to his friend, Dr. Ted McDaniel, and say, call my son. And I get a call from Doc, and he said, I talked to your daddy. And he said, if you don't, I don't know if you remember this, if you don't get to my office today to sign these papers, he's gonna kick your ass. That's an exact quote. My father does not make idle threats. And I knew he would drive all the way from Atlanta to make sure I did what he told me to do. So I found my way to Ohio State that day. And school started right after the Labor Day holiday, and I think it was 2 weeks before. And Doc got me in. And I was probably part of the cause for the lack of hair you see today, because I was not the best student. But there was something about the way Doc took me in under his wing. I was a voracious reader. I was somewhat prodigious. I became professional as a musician at 12. I put my first record out when I was 19, and I had read a lot of books. My dad has like 7,000, 8,000 books. And when I went into Doc's office, there was like 7,000, 8,000 books. I was like, this is familiar. And as much as I read, Doc always would put something on my mind and let me know that I wasn't there yet. He was the only cat that could humble me when I was 19, and I needed that. And I dropped out twice. And when I became a daddy at 22 with my beautiful wife, Ruth, she said, you needed a job. And I was like, I got a job. I'm a jazz musician. She's like, no, you need a real job. We need to make sure these lights stay on. And so I went back to OSU and I talked to Doc and I said, I'm coming back. He's like, well, this one's on you. And I appreciated that. At that time, I was mad because I was like, I'm ready. I'm willing, I'm able, I got this baby to take care of, I got this wife to take care of, I need help. He was like, I tried to help you, this one's on you. But whenever I called Doc, he was there. He was on my grad committee for a master's degree. He was on my grad committee for my doctoral degree. And here I am, now 44 years after I met him. I've released 60 albums. I've written for orchestras all over the world. And I've had the privilege of serving on panels with Doc talking about Black music. It's because of you, Doc, that I understand the power of the legacy that our work pushes forward. It's because of you that I am a warrior scholar. And it's because of you that I understand the power of the drum and the fact that the drum can speak and that our role as jazz musicians is to heal the planet. You did that for me. So thank you. I'm glad you're still here. 80's still young. And I say it like that because a lot of my musical heroes did not live to see 80. Coltrane died at 40, right? Ellington lived a long time, but he didn't make it to 80. Mingus didn't make it to 80. And it's because of people like Ted McDaniel who are still here that I can call. We had lunch 2 weeks ago. And I can ask him any question, and he's going to be honest with me, he's going to be straight up, and he's going to encourage me, and he's going to check me. And I appreciate that. And I thank you for still being here. I thank you for still being available to us. Because you retired, you could have moved anywhere. You could have done all your things, right? So I just thank you. I thank you. I thank you. I am because you are. Happy birthday.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Lomax. And you all have seen some videos and maybe heard a little bit about Tibiddle and some jazz and at the Ohio State University. But the next speaker can give you a little more insight on the marching band and jazz studies. So, Professor Michael Smith. Please come on up.
Sir. Good afternoon, everyone. I am very pleased to be here. And I got to take you back to the spring of 2012. I come to campus and I'm being fitted into a lot of different jobs. One of which is going to be jazz studies, one is with marching band and music ed and all that. So I have to meet with Dr. Ted McDaniel. And I did my homework and I read up on him, and formidable scholar. So I'm walking in his office. I'm going up to the third floor in Hughes Hall, and I go into his office, and he opens the door, and like Mark said, there's books everywhere. But what's really cool is I looked at the books, and I said, hey, there's Eileen Suther's book. I got that book. There's A Life in Ragtime. I got that book. There's a Samuel Floyd book. I got that book. All of these books, and I'm like, this guy's a blurred just like me. He's a blurred. You know what a blurred is? A black nerd. He is a black nerd just like me. And instantly, it's like, yeah, this is my home right here. One of the things that Ted and I have always been able to do is, and by the way, a lot of folks in jazz studies would call him Doc. I always called him Ted, not out of any disrespect, but instantly he felt like a friend. Instantly he felt like a guy that we can sit down and we can have these conversations. And all of these real scholarly, for a lot of people, things that would be very boring, we instantly bonded. And all of a sudden I really realized I had a kindred spirit who's also a mentor to me. Because to a large degree, what I'm doing now is because he allowed me to do it. I am the head of jazz studies now, which is what he was. He allowed me to do it. He put me in the place that I could do this. He was the guy that welcomed me when and I got here. Ohio State is a very big campus. Large campus, school of music, big school of music. And I really, when I got here, did not feel welcomed. I just did not, for lots of different reasons. I didn't feel welcomed. Ted welcomed me. Ted said, hey, come on, we can talk. Let's come into my office. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And instantly we bonded. So to give you an idea of the kind of academic stuff we talked, nerdy stuff we talked about, I remember when Aretha Franklin died in 2018, the first person I thought about was Ted McDaniel. And I texted Ted and I said, and this is the kind of nerdy stuff we do. And so I said, one of the things that I think about with Aretha Franklin that nobody talks about very much is how her piano playing, when she accompanies herself, really kind of dictates what's going to happen in the arrangement. Now, a lot of you are going, man, I don't know somebody. Ted got it right away, and he answered back, I was thinking the exact same thing. And we had a back and forth with that kind of stuff. And you really, and you all are, many of you are in academia, and you all are the heads of different areas, and you understand the term, you can get into the weeds and things. To have somebody that you can really get into the weeds in that kind of stuff, somebody who's a model scholar. And when I say that, what I mean is that this is a person, to give you an example of how much I respect him, there's only one person that I know that I actually quoted a couple times in my book, and it's Ted. There were a whole lot of folks that I wrote about, but he's the only person that I actually quoted a couple times when he talks about Memphis. He talks about the scene in Memphis and the importance of DJs in black communities in the 60s. We talked about that a lot, and he gave me such insights. That's the kind of thing that really kind of gives you a sense of his scholarship. There are not as many black scholars in jazz as you would think there would be, because jazz is being what it is. And we talk about that idea quite often. That whole idea of being able to come at it from the standpoint of our culture and really deeply ingrained in our culture. And Dr. Ted McDaniel gets it. He knows it backwards and forward. Everyone knows him. When I go anywhere and I say I teach at Ohio State and do jazz, hey, Ted, yeah, Ted. Yeah, you know Ted. And it's kind of like my son. Now I'm Miles Smith's dad. I'm not Mike Smith the professor. I'm Miles' dad. But my personal aside here, my fiance now, when I met her and a few years ago, and we were chatting and talking, and she said, "Where you teach?" So I said, Ted's my friend. And so, you know, and that's the kind of thing you can't escape Ted McDaniel and his overview, his overwhelming sense, the respect that people have of him in the jazz world. The jazz ensemble, when we play, I'm always thinking, hey, I am upholding a tradition that this man set that's very, very high, very important. And it is not lost on me that because Ted might be in the audience, I got to be swinging. Because if not, he gonna let me know. Thus far, everything has been okay. But you are in the midst of one of the greatest music scholars in the world right now, in Ted McDaniel, and you need to know that. And he is a formidable person as far as his intellect. He's got one of the most wonderful wives that I've ever known. She's just a brilliant person in her own right, a wonderful family, and we are all so blessed that we have some time to hang with him, and we're going to have some more. Thank you for being my friend, and thank you for all that you do for jazz education and all of that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I gotta go.
Well, we've heard some great tributes from the younger days to those formative years, to his expertise. But the one thing I can say about my dad is the number one thing in his life. And I mentioned legacy. He's got 4 beautiful granddaughters that are going to come on, Billy and Tony. Let me introduce you. Or they're going to go in front. Okay. So they're going to make their own little announcements. Let me introduce my daughter, Ella McDaniel, who is the oldest, and then there is Maya McDaniel, her younger sister, and then we have Billy McDaniel, wait, and Tony McDaniel. All right. Ella, you go up first.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ella McDaniel, and I'm Grandpa's first granddaughter. I just wanted to say that I love you very much, and that you have a great sense of humor, and that you're an amazing grandfather. And happy 80th birthday.
My name is Maya. I'm Grandpa's second granddaughter. I love you so much. You make me happy every single time I see you. I love you.
Hello, my name is Billy McDaniel. I am Papa's 3rd granddaughter. Papa, you make me smile so much. Thank you for being my grandpa. You are so unique. I love you. Hello, my name is Tony. I'm Papa's 4th granddaughter. Papa, you make me smile so much. Papa, you make me laugh so much. Papa, you taught my sister how to play Twinkle Twinkle Little Star on the piano. I love you, Papa.
All right. It's now time to start singing. All right, you girls gonna lead us? We're gonna sing happy. And then we're gonna get that over back.
Well, Papa, you want to blow out candles up here?
All right, come on. Some more sounds and have a good time and get away. Oh, well, guess what? It's a surprising with Dr. Ted that wants to speak to you? Birthday weekend.
Let me first of all say thank you to all of you. It's nothing like a gathering of family and friends. And this is what I wanted to do for my 80th birthday. My sons hatched this idea. And I said, you know, I don't really need this out. I'll be happy we can meet in Atlanta, as we often do, and just have a nice family dinner. I said, no, Dad, we're going to put this thing on. So, thanks initially to Teddy and Elliot, and the real heavy lifting was done by Elliot and his wife, Roanne. Where are you? Here's all of the messaging, the correspondence, all of that, with the assistance of these 4 granddaughters. Let me introduce you to everybody here, because everybody is a part of the family here. You've met Tony and Billy. Tony, by the way, her name was inspired by Toni Morrison. Billy's name was inspired by Billie Holiday. Ella's name was inspired by Ella Fitzgerald. And Maya's name was inspired by Maya Angelou. And I had nothing to do with that. No, seriously, I had nothing to do with that. This is Bernice's sister Hope from Atlanta. She's also a Spelman grad, and I'll say something more about that when I get to this young gal down here. Next is Doris Penn, who came here from Miami, Florida, just for this occasion. She is the mother of Teddy's girlfriend, Sharon Briscoe. So, we're very happy. Also a Spelman grad. And let's see. This youngster right next to me, through all of this, has been at my side for 57 years. So, I couldn't have done it without her, because she's been with me all this time. So I want to say that some quick things here before I forget it. That group back there, that's Bobby Floyd. I met him the first week I was in town. I was due here in September of '80. But I had been chairing the Department of Music in Greensboro at North Carolina A&T. And for 3 years, I had fought to hire 3 more music faculty. And it wasn't until the beginning of what was about to become the 4th year that I had been green lighted. So I had 3 new faculty members coming in that September. I called Ohio State University in the summer of '80 and said, is it possible for you to delay my appointment for a year? They must have said, who the heck do you think you are? To even ask a question like that. And I explained to them why. I said, I want to be here. I've got 3 new faculty that I have fought years to get. And I need to be there to be sure that I can get them on the right track. Not even knowing that Ohio State was on the quarter system back in those days, they said, I'll tell you what, you can't wait a year, but we'll let you do autumn quarter. You can come in January. I agreed to that. So I was able to do my work with those 3 new faculty, just to get them on the right track. I felt like I owed them to them. They were some really, really strong persons coming in. So I arrived in Columbus the first week of January of 1981. And some of you remember Nick Nelson, who at the time was chair of the Black Studies Department. And I had been hired as with a joint professorship with tenure in 2 departments initially, both the School of Music and the then Department of Black Studies. And Nick and his secretary were to find a 1-bedroom apartment for me, because it didn't make sense to take Bernice and Teddy and Elliot. Elliot was almost a baby still. Take them out of school. They'll come up in June. So I was able to go back home every couple of weekends down in North Carolina. So I said, I just need a 1-bedroom apartment. Well, if you could have seen the place that I told Nick I didn't want to spend a lot of money, but he had me in some fly trap. I said, man, I didn't mean that. So I spent the first 7 nights in Columbus, Ohio, in the Lane Avenue Holiday Inn, across the street from St. John Arena, until I met somebody on campus whom I had met, because when I was band director at Morehouse, he was the financial aid director at Morehouse, and that's Max Stewart sitting right there. Mac and his wife Tina, upon learning that I was living in the Lane Avenue Holiday Inn, invited me to their home, and I spent a week at their home before I found a place where I could live. But while I was in the Lane Avenue Holiday Inn, I wasn't on campus 2 days when I said, where can I hear some real jazz? I didn't even pretend stuff, some real jazz. So somebody told me how to get over to Mount Vernon Avenue and Long Street, and said, there's a place called My Brother's Place. And I said, what's the name of it again? He said, My Brother's Place. I said, man, okay, I appreciate your brother. What's the name of the club? He said, My Brother's Place. So I learned that that really was the name. I found it, I went over there, going up those rickety steps, but even from the ground floor, you could hear that organ. We spent 2 weeks over Europe. North Sea Jazz Festival, Montreux Jazz Festival in Switzerland, Austria, Germany, and so give a hand for the Bobby Floyd Tour. And Bobby, I brought to the faculty at Ohio State University for, 3 years? He kept having to go to Spain every May, so he'd come into my office and say, Dr. McDaniel, I got this opportunity over in Spain. I need to be over there for 3 or 4 weeks. I always say yes. The only require, I said, you better give me somebody in here who can take your place, because we owe it to the students to have private teachers. And he did that, and finally, after 3 or 4 years, he was in such demand. I mean, he went everywhere. Ray Charles, anytime Ray Charles, the great Ray Charles, who is a keyboard player himself, would hire Bobby Floyd, another keyboard player, that says something to you about who Bobby Floyd is. Okay, so I just want you all to know who is here. Okay, so we thank you all. We thank you all. One other point about Bobby, which is something that I love to share with people. The Count Basie Orchestra, one of the world's greatest orchestras of all time. Continues to date. That's one of the best legacy bands. But of course, Count has been dead for a number of years now. Do you know who was hired to be the pianist in the Count Basie Orchestra and sit in Count Basie's chair? You know how incredibly wonderful that is? Bobby Floyd. You can hear that trio at Natalie's on Sunday nights. So, check it out. Check it out. Now, Kathy told me to be sure, Ted, did you say something about Spelman? I met this young lady at Spelman, which Spelman and Morehouse, part of the largest historically black private institutions on the planet. Morris Brown, Clark Atlanta University, Interdenominational Theological Center, and the Morehouse School of Medicine. And I met her when we were seniors, and we started going together our senior year. She went on to, after graduating, by the way, she graduated first in her classes probably. They had 4 at the top. She was one of the 4. And she was going to grad school in Bloomington, Indiana University. And I was just a few hundred miles west of that in grad school at the University of Iowa. So we were able to keep our thing together. And what you see at the table is the result of that. So I just wanted to say something because she's been with me all of these years. Now, let me see here. I just want to give another shout out to the best photographer. And some good ones. I see a couple more in this room. One of the best photographers is Ira Graham, who's been shooting around here. Thank you so much. All of the speakers, thank you. Thank you for being such a significant part of this occasion. And I'm just honored to have spent the last 45 years living in this city. I had no idea what the city would be like. I have never, ever been to Columbus, Ohio. I, of course, had heard about the Ohio State University, and I'm going to wind this down in a minute because I know there's a kickoff at 3:30. I haven't forgotten that. That's why we had a brunch, by the way. I guess you probably found that out. We knew not to schedule anything up against the Buckeyes, so, and breakfast was too early. So this was the next best thing that we had. So I appreciate your sacrifice to be here. But so many, all of you out here I know. And I'm so thankful that we came here in what has been one of the most rewarding experiences. It's not just a job. Nothing is more important. It's great when a job works out. When you get a job, when you get a career that allows you to grow, to keep doing things, be able to think critically and creatively and so on. It's good when you have a job that nourishes those things in you. But let me tell you, quality of life is centered around friends. And one of the things that we feel blessed and we feel honored is to have friends here. And that's why you're here. We made some decisions when Teddy and Elliot told me they wanted to do this. By the way, they did all of the planning. They said, Dad, the only thing we want you to do is give us a guest list. And I said, you know, I don't want to break that bank, you know. But, so I had to have some limitations. So I decided not to invite anybody from out of the city, because I didn't want people to have to travel. I got some good friends in Atlanta and other places, as we all do. And I didn't want them to spend any money coming in, especially after we realized it was going to be a brunch. Then I thought about this age thing. And I said, you know, all my good 40 plus and 50-year-old friends, they're too young for this group. And I realized that, you know, some of my brothers have some 28-year-old spouses, maybe. That would be okay. But I set a limit. It's intentional. So there are a lot of folks that we all know, whom we all are friends with in our organizations, you know. This is a very well, strongly linked group in many ways. But we made a decision. I started off, I said, I'm not inviting anybody who is not 70 years old. And Bernie says, you're gonna do what? So I lowered it to 65. So if you're under 65 and you're here, you are exceptional. And you are welcome. So let me just say thank you all. You have made this a very wonderfully enjoyable occasion. And I appreciate all of you. Love you. Thank you so much.
This is my Alpha Phi brother, okay? He went over in 66, I went over in 67, okay? When I think about Morehouse, I think about a song called Shake a Lady. I wonder if Bobby Floyd knows anything about Shake a Lady.
Obviously not. We're much of a contemporary kind of band.
I can remember Samuel L. Jackson, who was a drum major at that time, and cheerleader, who would come up the stairs with Shake a Lady. Ted, thank you.
Thank you. I wrote Shake a Lady my sophomore year at Morehouse. This was Joe Zawinul composition recorded by Cannonball Adderley. And when Cannonball would come to Atlanta, which he did every year, he told me, he said, Ted, people didn't respond to my record. They respond to your arrangement of my record.